So let me read the lab challenge again. So design an experimental setup to capture an isolated volume of gas produced by hydrogen peroxide and potassium iodide. So you should have both those chemicals in your kit. It's called hydrogen peroxide. The chemical formula is H2O2. And potassium iodide, the chemical formula is Ki. K is a symbol for the element potassium. So we're going to, as always, we're going to go through and make sure we have all our supplies on hand before we run the experiment. So mass scale, do we have our 60 milliliter plastic syringe with the layer lock fitting? That's this. One syringe tip cap, that's this blue cap, it might be brown, but it's this cap that screws onto the tip. Then a plastic valve cap, so you should have a little, it's almost like a tiny little cereal bowl or dish in your kit. You should have your potassium iodide powder, your hydrogen peroxide, a plastic spoon, a weigh boat, and a 50 milliliter beaker. Got our 50 milliliter beaker. Okay, so make sure you have all those on hand, and you should have water nearby as well. Okay, I'm gonna go to the lab procedure, and we're gonna run all the way through this lab procedure. This is takes a little bit of choreography or coordination between you and your partner. If you're by yourself, it's gonna take an incredible amount of dexterity.
I would get a partner.
Yes. Okay, so there's some safety things to be aware of here too. So let me just read those off the procedure of the lab page. As I said, it requires a bit of dexterity. Use no more than 0.3 to 0.4 grams of potassium iodide powder. If you use too much, you could create like a little pressure bomb inside here, which could shoot off this plunger and knock somebody. So important note of caution, I'm just going to read this word for word. So in step 3 below, you will see the production of gas push the plunger out of the syringe. As the volume inside the syringe expands, do not hold the plunger down forcefully. So do not try to force against the volume, because you'll create that high pressure scenario. What happens when you have a high? What's the potential problem with a high pressure scenario?
Little explosion.
Little explosion. So this, so the plunger could shoot out of the syringe like a bullet. So you want to avoid that. There's an easy way to prevent that from happening, and we'll get to that. So step 1, make sure the units on the mass scale says G for grams. So let's turn on our mass scale. And if it doesn't, hit the M or mode button until it says G for grams. And we're good. So it should say, ideally it says 0.00. So place the weigh boat onto the scale and zero the scale. And we'll spoon in 0.3 to 0.4 grams of Ki. So put your weigh boat on your scale, and to zero the scale, you just hit the T or tare button. Now it says 0.00. So now we want to put on 0.3 to 0.4 grams of potassium iodide.
All right, here we go. Let's set that to the side, and
you have a smaller container than this. I like the nice index finger action there.
There we go.
0.32?
0.32
Okay,
will
we're
work.
at 0.32. So carefully pour the Ki into the plastic valve cap. Show them the technique to pour powder out of a weigh boat. So this is according to there.
Powder out of a weigh boat. I'm going to fold my weigh boat a little bit and use like a bit of a spout there. So there we go, and there you have it.
So that's all of step 1. Take a deep breath. No small task even right there. Let's jump to step 2. So fill the syringe to the top with water. Holding the water in place by placing your finger on the tip. So we need to get more water. So I'll get more water.
All right.
Be right back.
So here we go. So you want to hold this. So put your pinky on the end, and I'll hold it here with the other two, and I want to fill this up with water like so.
Okay.
And this is where, having a partner comes in handy, because if you forget your water, you don't have to leave. So again, I showed you I put my pinky on the end, and I'm holding it with my index finger and thumb. There we go.
Right to the tip. And now, float the valve cap on the water and drain the water through the tip into a cup or sink. So we can just drain the water back into this beaker, and bam, it's like a little elevator for the
All right, there we
potassium iodide. And the whole point of this is just to get the potassium, a way to get that powder into the bottom of the syringe.
And there it goes. All the way to the bottom.
So just a clever transport technique. So it's part 3 of step 2. So install the plunger and push down to the rim of the valve cap. So we want to get this plunger all the way in. When you first put the plunger in, it can kind of jerk a little bit. So do this in as controlled a manner as possible.
You're going to push it through till you hear it click. Then you'll know it's in there. There you go.
And one other thing that can happen sometimes, if this valve cap is over the tip, you won't be able to push it. You won't be able to push it down because the pressure will go up. No air can get out. So what you do is just shake the syringe a little bit to move the potassium iodide away from the tip. You didn't have that problem, did you?
Actually, I do.
Okay, so you just tipped it. You just tapped it a little bit, right?
There we go.
So you need the air to expel.
Oh, I really got it on there. Move that out of the way just a little bit. There we go.
Nice. Okay. Okay, that was all of step 2. Nicely done. Okay, step 3. So pour about 10 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide into your 50 milliliter beaker. And since you're holding that, you want me to do this?
Absolutely. Thank you.
And you can use your pipette or just pour it in. So let's do pipette 3 times. I can usually suck out about 3 milliliters at a time. That's 3, 6, and this is 6% hydrogen peroxide. So about 9 milliliters, that should be good enough. Cap back on. Okay. So number 2, so with your syringe, draw in the H2O2 up to about the 4 milliliter mark. And take a before you even do this, take a look at the markings on the syringe. Make sure you identify where the 5 and the 10 is. Once you identify where the 5 milliliter mark is, just go down one little marking to the 4, and you want to suck up the hydrogen peroxide to that 4 milliliter mark. This will cause the valve cap to float up a little bit. You got it? Oh, nice. So it's already reacted a little bit. We might want to hurry up. So step 3, so rotate and gently shake. Well, put the cap back on. Screw the syringe cap onto the tip. Very important. And now shake, rotate for 2 or 3 seconds. And after you do that just 2 or 3 times, hold the whole thing up with the tip up. You want to just keep it at this position for the remainder. You can shake it a little bit more. And you can see our plunger is down to how many milliliters?
It's gone to 25 at this point.
And you may be able at this point in time see what I meant before about the safety situation. If this plunger expands too quickly, it'll fly out the bottom. And that can be, it's starting to pick up speed actually, right?
Mm-hmm. Every time I give it a little shake, it really gets going.
Our rule of thumb is when it gets to about 50, so you don't get into a dangerous situation, just do what Raheem's doing, gently unscrew the tip cap. Of course, that releases some of the pressure. You can screw it back on and off just to make sure. And even if the plunger goes too far down, you can actually just squeeze it up, and you're just, whatever gas we're producing, you're just squirting that out. So you're not contaminating the barrel of the syringe. So whatever precious gas we're creating, it's not getting contaminated by this thing we call the hemisphere. And it's still reacting.
Still going, yeah.
And you could also see, like, if we added, 0.8 grams of potassium iodide or 0.12 grams, that thing would just shoot right off. That's never happened to me.
Me either. All right. Oh, you might also notice this is getting a little warm.
Oh, interesting.
And I think our reaction may be complete.
And so this is all of Lab 3A. We did the whole thing because there's so many technical parts to it. For cleanup, all this stuff can just be, all the liquid can just be squirt down the sink. Run your faucet before and after you squirt it down the sink, just to drain out your pipes. But it's all pretty safe. I think that's it.
There you go.
Talk to you soon. Okay, that was awesome.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.